Good afternoon. We are live on Facebook, I think, Joey. Let's see if anybody starts popping on. I'm going to wait just a second, see if we get any viewers, and then I'll know if we are actually live. It says live, so I believe it's live, but you never know if it's live until we're live. All right, so good afternoon, good afternoon. How are you today, Joey?
I'm doing very well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. So I'm going to get started. The viewers will start coming on as we progress. It is a Facebook Live, so it does show up in the Facebook feeds and things. But, I just wanted to spend just a couple minutes thanking you for being on the show. I'm going to read your welcome bio here in just a minute. But thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate it. Tuesday Titans basically is it's a brainchild of mine that was inspired by Tom Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu runs the program called Impact Theory. And I'm a big fan of that particular show. I don't know if you've seen it, but the Impact Theory, it's an amazing show. It's an interview type show, and it's really all about the broadcaster. But, I really love that. And so that's my hope and vision of this show, is to bring Titans in each industry to the forefront and let you guys shine for a minute and let other people see what you do and maybe learn some nuggets from you. So with no further ado, I'd like to welcome you to the show. So joining me here today is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. He was in the infantry division. By the way, Joey, thank you for your service to our country.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you.
After his service to the country, he received a degree in management information systems, built online stores in the late 90s as a business programmer. In the early 2000s, built an online marketing solution for several industries, including real estate. He was in real estate during that period of time. And I have the fortunate benefit to knowing and had been done business with Joey back in that time frame. This focus eventually led to lead generation on a national level. Platforms including Google, YouTube, Facebook, and Bing. He now runs successful marketing funnels for clients, which include lenders, real estate agents, contractors, and even medical professionals. He also produces a show called allredding.com. That's ALL Redding. .com, and that's a show that showcases local people in the community, all kinds, everything from ministers to business owners and different people. His passion is really for family, and he has 4 wonderful children, along with his amazing wife. Equal a blessed life for him. Please give me a warm welcome to Joey Gartin today on Tuesday Titans. Joey, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Great intro.
I'm hoping I can get your animated self. I get the real Joey that I get to see behind the scenes. And, I'm fortunate enough to get to know Joey on a personal level and a business level. And it's just, my great pleasure to have him on the show today to get to really talk about some of the things that are what he's doing in the space, specifically in relation to online lead generation through Facebook and some of the other media contents. But with that, I've got a series of questions to ask you today, Joey. But before we get started, how do you answer the phone every time I call you?
Randy Byrd!
That's right. And every restaurant we walk in, anywhere in the nation. So I got that going for me. Yeah. But listen, brother, I really appreciate you being on the show today. And I'm really excited about a good show. Anything you want to say before we get started?
No, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Okay, baby, let's go. So, I've got a couple of questions laid out here. You may or may not have seen these, but, basically it's an opportunity for the viewers to see somewhat of a structure of the same questions for all people. Timothy Ferriss had a great book called The Tribe of Mentors, and that's where I came up with that particular idea, R&D, which is rip off and duplicate. But basically, hey, Kim, how are you doing? Good to be here. Cindy Silva, good to see you on the show as well. Thank you. But, Tribe of Mentors it's a book that basically, look, I happen to have it right in front of me. And Timothy Ferriss did the 4-Hour Work Week, one of my favorite books. But, what he does is he interviews, hundreds of successful people around the nation and asks them basically the same 10 questions and see how they answer it. Kind of the premise of my show and what I like to do with that. So first of all, I'd like to ask you, what are the 1, 2, or 3 books that most influence you either professionally or personally?
Wow, that's hard. That's hard to whittle that down to 3. I'll tell you, a book that I really liked was The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It's a small little tiny book. I mean, you read it in one setting, but it's a really good book. I don't know if you're familiar with Darren Hardy. He's a great like coach, motivational. I don't know what genre, the title that they give, but the book talks all about like people looking for these one big silver bullets, and the truth is that success and failure is usually it's the compound. It's a bunch of little tiny decisions, and he goes over that and he gives great examples of just little things, drinking more water, deciding to go for a walk in the morning, and each thing starts to compound. And each thing starts to build up, and then pretty soon you look 3 years, 4 years down the road from somebody that started making these either good or bad, because he gives the other side of like, oh, I'm just going to hang out, or I'm just going to have a couple cocktails at lunch, and you see the divergence between the two paths where these little tiny choices spread out and go in very, very big directions, and over time, have a huge, huge effect.
So true. There's a couple books out there that talk about that, the compound effect, and I totally agree with you on that. So thank you for sharing. Any other books that stand out right now that are business-wise or anything?
Well, there's the couple of snooze fests as far as like reading, but they've had a huge effect on me is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, who is the Roman emperor. He has a book. It's one of those ones that just talks about like, he was a big someone who was into Stoicism. So basically, you boil it down to like, don't take anything personal, man. The universe doesn't owe you anything. It's never personal. Detach your emotions from your intellect. It's very, very hard to do, but try to separate the two out and don't take anything personal. Don't expect anything good or bad to happen. Just it reminds me of like what Bruce Lee, the Tao of Bruce Lee, where he said, be like water, you know what I mean? Which is basically be flexible instead of being rigid. So that one's a tough one though. I'm not going to kid you. That's one of those that's tough to read because it's almost like, it reminds me a lot of Proverbs written by King Solomon, I believe. Yeah. Proverbs. And then that like segues to the third book had a huge impact on me is the Bible. I know that one's the Bible, huh? But yeah, I read that book when I was young and I was in the Marine Corps, and the first Gulf War was taking effect, and I was reading Revelation at the time. And I mean, you talk about having like if you're like, what book had an impact on you? Like that book had an impact on me big time. So.
Wow. And I love these interviews because I mean, I've known you for a long time and I didn't know that would be your 3 books. And I'm really impressed by that. And, for me, I've been reading the Bible just recently. I think I was forced to read it when I was yay big. And so I didn't read it, when you're forced to and had to do certain things. But now I'm really enjoying reading it. And it's been eye-opening. And one of my best friends on the planet, Brent Gove, kind of gave me a direction of who to start reading, what chapters to make it make sense the most. And it's really been unbelievable the way it's unfolding for me. And now I'm just recently watching the story of Jesus on TV, and it's tying all those gaps together for me. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I appreciate you sharing that.
The Bible is one of those things that it's easy to glaze over some of the concepts in it. Especially, I'm blown away by in the Old Testament that you have to remember that this was written thousands and thousands of years ago, and there are concepts around capitalism. You read the book of Nehemiah, and they're talking about the mortgage industry and the year of Jubilee. I think one of the single biggest quotes in the Bible that is so powerful and it gets so overlooked is in the beginning when God says, let us go make man in our image. That very concept is about human equality. Now you have to remember, this was written thousands of years ago when pharaohs were God, kings were God, whatever term you wanted to use, they told everybody, no, I'm a God. And so this idea, the book starts with, let us go make man in our image. That's human equality. It would take humans thousands of years to then replicate that into the Constitution. Even if we don't practice it. So there's tons of concepts like that in the Old Testament where you're just like the book of Nehemiah where they're talking about the mortgage industry. And when Nehemiah goes to Jerusalem to talk about like, hey, you guys have overextended mortgages. I mean, he doesn't use the term mortgage, but if you read it, you go, wait a second. And this sounds like 2007 in the United States. I feel like we're about to learn a lesson here. So there's a bunch of little nuggets in there, and it's hard because it's been translated so many times. And then if you get a book that's in thou art, thus how, it's hard to take that in. But those concepts being alive for thousands of years blows my mind.
Yeah,
because
well,
there are people that don't get it today.
You're clearly an intellect. You're way smarter than I am. That's why I hang out with you, because you're way smarter than I am, and I like to hang around with people smarter than me. But
and I hang out with you because you call out compliments so easily.
I really appreciate you sharing that, though. So let me ask you, what in the last couple of years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life or your business?
I have been really trying to practice a thing that has caught fire right now that they call bending reality. So that's a really cool term for basically trying to focus what you put your focus on. So a lot of these books that I've read, I have a good buddy that started giving me some books a few years ago, and it was along these lines of like seeing positive around you, right? So like, for example, there's a great at Arizona State University, there's this Origins program, and they get these super thinkers on there, and they have some big topics. And they had this one where they brought on these group of scientists and magicians. And they talked about that your eyes, you really only see about 5 to 10% of what you think you see. The rest, your brain is trying to create patterns and fill in the space for you. And that's why magic tricks and optical illusions work, because they operate in that space where you really don't see what you think you see, right? And so it's the same thing in life, in that, if you look out there, there's positive and negative everywhere. Okay, there's always been, there's always death, there's always birth, there's always someone doing really good and someone doing really poorly. So what you put your focus on starts to become your reality. This kind of led to one of the things about already is that, I'm sorry?
Law of attraction?
Yeah, absolutely. So it gets used a lot. You see this theme over and over, and you definitely see it with very successful people, right? When you start to read some of these biographies, they overwhelmingly have this, like, they see the positive, they see the solution. But I noticed that, like, every statistic that you can think of, it's never been a better time to be a human on the planet Earth. There is no way that you can argue that from a statistical standpoint, but yet people overwhelmingly think, oh, this is the worst of times. Everything's awful. And so it's like, how can this be, this disparity? How can it be so good? How can death be so far away from us? And we have too much food. If anything, we're not starving to death. We're like, man, I got to cut back my calories. And yet people think it's the worst of times. And so it's a couple of different things. It's evolutionary biology. We're the descendants of, our ancestors saw the wolf before the apple. The ones that saw the apple tree first got eaten. And so we're kind of like naturally, biologically wired to be pessimistic a little bit. And then you take the online space where they've monetized clickbait and things like that. And so it's the links and the ads.
Not to cut you off, and that kind of going to lead to the next transition, but when we're fed all this information, I mean, it's hard not to get tied up into that space. Wouldn't you agree? I mean,
it's super hard. It's really, really hard.
And all this other stuff. I mean, I know we can go on a whole hour about this particular topic, but it's very true. It's never been a better time to be on the planet, but it depends what you listen to. Oh
yeah. Depends what and hey, I can sit here and tell you that this is something that I pursue, but it's a struggle every day. It's just like going to the gym every day. It's just like eating healthy every day. Every day I have to try to choose the broccoli over the potato chips. Right? Every day you got to try to focus on the positive, and it still gets me. Every now and then I look down and I've got a bacon cheeseburger in my hand and I go, what have I just done? Or I'm just in a bad space and I'm like, the world sucks. So
right. Well, you're brilliant in a lot of areas that I know the viewers are going to find really relevant today, being in the online space. And I'd like to transition to that if I could. I really appreciate you sharing that. So,
Sure.
What new, do you see anything new in the space gaining popularity right now, either in the real estate or lending space, as opposed as it relates to online, or kind of what's going on in that world? And I know that's a big question, but
that is a big question.
So can you narrow it down for me? Like, what do you think is the most sexy? What do you think the next thing coming along is really going to be something to watch for? Anything like that you see?
Marketing automation. That's the big one. That's because it's putting the mechanisms in place. For example, something that's really popular right now are bots. You hear the term bot, so you got a bot builder, get bots. That's that idea.
The average Joe, what a bot is?
Just a program that usually handles a couple of questions before the potential customer speaks to you. So, if you have a website or through Facebook, you have a little bot that says, hey, can I help you? And it starts offering you questions. And then at some point, you've given the bot enough information for it to say, hold on, let me hand you off to a sales representative or a customer representative. So now the customer representatives got all the information they need, and the bots have filtered through the 1,800 people to get down to the 30 people that actually need to speak to somebody.
I gotcha. Yeah. So, but bots can also learn the language of what's transacting in the conversations, right? And then put them into a different, whatever it's called, different scenario or different direction of that communication.
Yes, depends on the bot. I mean, bot is a big term, right? Like, are we talking a little bot that says, "Hi, do you want to speak to a rep?" Yes, done. Versus some of the stuff that's going on with, there's some advanced AGI, artificial general intelligence bots they do a lot of stuff that people think humans are behind, and they're not.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to see some of that in real estate, on the chats and all the different things where it looks like you're talking to a live person until they finally say, I want to physically talk to you, and then it transfers or whatever.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Very cool, man. Well, I appreciate that. So maybe another big question, but what are some bad recommendations or bad advice you hear most in online marketing?
The two big ones are you need a blog. So you need a blog.
Oh, you need a blog? You need
a blog. You got to have a blog.
Actually, I swear, I was just told that. Okay,
well, a blog is, man, I know you don't, this is one of those ones I could talk for a long time. If you're going to blog, there are industries that a blog makes sense, where you say, hey, look, I need to produce content on a regular basis. I need to sit down and get this out. I need to get this to people. That makes sense. But overwhelmingly, people are like, no, you need a blog because you want to trick Google into thinking you're more relevant than you are. And that's 2012. That's so 2012, and it's some of the worst advice you can pursue right now as a blog. I just went to a marketing conference a few weeks ago, and the guy that gave it was awesome. He was crushing it, and then he added blog in there, and I was like, oh, man.
He lost you on blog?
Yeah, no, you don't want to blog. If you're going to blog every day, if you truly want to blog, if you're like, look, I've got this information and I need to get it out. I've got it. Okay, cool. But if you're like, I'm supposed to write a blog. What am I supposed? Okay, wait a second. I'm supposed to say something. No, you completely missed what that works for. Along those same lines are companies that will post for you on your social media. Hey, I'll post for you every day. They're basically saying, I will spam all your friends and family for you.
Gotcha.
They do not understand how Facebook works. Again, 2012, 2014, whatever, Facebook worked a certain way. These platforms move super fast, okay? I'm not going to pull a Rick Perry and say literally the speed of light. No, they don't move literally at the speed of light, but they do move very fast. And today it's much more about quality. It's much more about behavioral patterns and engagement, and a lot less about just pumping out content.
I got you.
I tell my clients, you don't need to post that often at all. I teach them how they should post and what they should post and the other things that they should do and how they should engage on social media. But blogging and posting every day is not, no.
All right. So since we're on that topic, let's go there. So Facebook, big question, but give us the overall of Facebook, what that looks like from your perspective. When you talk about posting and how to interact on Facebook in a reasonable and successful way.
Okay, man, that's a big one here. You know me, I'm verbose. Okay, so you have to get the concept of how Facebook works right now. Facebook is a series of tribes, right? So everybody is a member of multiple tribes. Okay. In the past, marketing was all about who's your target market, craft your message, find out where your target market is, and then jam them with your message. Meaning like, oh, well, I want to sell cereal to little kids. Okay, you should run ads, commercials during cartoons on Saturday morning. See? Or I want males between 30 and 40. You should go on the sports network and run your ad. Doesn't quite work that way now. How it works instead is people will move in and out of your target market, and they're in these tribes. So what you really want to do is you want to try to join as many tribes as possible. The strategies behind that involve putting out positive energy. Now, you and I had a conversation about this, about how Facebook works and how the average consumer uses Facebook. Right. And they use it like this. And the reason why is that this device has a lot of engineering that's similar to a slot machine. And also, for lack of a better way to put it, this is a dopamine delivery device, okay? This is rewiring our brain. It really, truly is. That's not a over-exaggeration. That's not a hyperbole. It is rewiring our brain the same way that chemicals, drugs rewire your brain. So people are looking for that dopamine hit of someone liked, someone commented, someone shared.
That's why they're looking for attention correctly.
Exactly. It's a little narcissistic. So I teach my clients, dole that out. Don't worry about your posts. You should post once in a while, but your posts should be revolved around people, events, locations. More importantly, if you can like, comment, and share other people's posts, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be delivering dopamine, and they're going to register a positive response with you and your name. So that when your ads run, and you get to join all these various tribes, when your ads run through these tribes, they've already got a positive association in their mind with you and your brand. That's what's really important. It's not you posting pictures of cats doing backflips. Now, good viral memes, they're awesome, but the average person can't just punch those out every week like they're writers for Saturday Night Live. That's really hard. Okay. Right. I have a buddy who does some really, he's really taken to it and does some really good posts. He did a post the other day. It was awesome. This little video story on Facebook. And it was like, I meant to reach out to him and tell him, like, dude, you crushed it. That's exactly, that's awesome. But that's hard to do on a daily basis. What's not hard to do is just to give positive feedback to everybody. So all your friends and people in your community, and just saying, hey, oh, I like that. Or somebody posts something, yes, comment, oh, that's awesome. Or, sharing, hey, there's going to be this event this Friday, share it. I tell my clients, stay away from the negativity. There's too much negativity. No one really cares what you think about this politician or that. Right. If personally, you do what you want, but remember, if we're talking about business and social media, that's a different animal, right? Right. So that's my advice.
And there's a lot of people that are really trying to break into the business element and business benefit of Facebook, clearly, right? Mm-hmm. And so what you're talking about is friending. Well, when you're friends with people, is liking their stuff, tagging them in it, and then mentioning good job or whatever, which triggers their dopamine. Right. Mm-hmm. And then gives them a positive feeling of Randy Byrd or Joey, whoever it might be. Right. Mm-hmm. Yes. And then what's the next layer of that? So
then we run ads.
Consistency, is there a plan to follow?
Yeah, there is. So it's like usually there's two components of it. One is the thing that my client can do that I can't do for them. And that is to become friends with as many people. And when I'm talking about this is really more of a local strategy rather than a national strategy. But to become friends with as many local people as you can. And I know I struggle with that word friend. That's like friend. I grew up with if you can count your friends on one hand, you're lucky. So that's, right. That word, we'll say associates, right? Right. So get as many as you can. Definitely all your if you're talking about lending and real estate, all your past clients should be your friends on Facebook. Right. Organize them in such a way that you can just go through and, you don't have to be inauthentic and like stuff you really wouldn't like. But think of it like this. I give a lot of these analogies with Facebook is that imagine you're walking through a party and you see people and you say something like, hey, Sally, nice hair. Did you check hair? Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, that's right. Hey, John, man, are you working out? Right, you look good, man. You walk through and you're handing out these compliments, right? You don't have to lie, but you can be nice. You can be positive. It's the same thing. When you walk through that party, you get to the other end, all those people are like, God, that Randy, he's such a nice guy. Isn't he a cool guy? He's a nice guy. Do the same thing online, okay? And they're going to have that same response. Then when they see your ad, when they all have moved into your target market, they already have positivity associated with you. See what I mean? So be nice, hand out compliments.
And you're top of mind by doing it on a regular basis. And is there a system that you teach within this? Like, with your clients, like so often, so many times a day or a week, or is there a specific system that you track with or follow?
Yeah, I tell them to set an alarm in the morning, usually 5 minutes. So a couple things.
Okay.
Number one, use social media. Don't let social media use you.
Right.
Okay.
Most people spend 5 hours a day on social media, not 5 minutes.
Oh man. It's
I don't even want a screen timer anymore. I don't want to know.
So in 5 minutes, go through and like 5, comment 5, share 5. I got that actually from somebody else, and I wish I had that person. I consume a lot of online marketing stuff, right? Like lots of podcasts, lots of blogs, and I try to filter it down to the like 7% that's worth a darn. So I feel bad that I can't say who I got that originally from, but it was along those same lines of like, hey, do this. And then when the timer goes off after 5 minutes, get out. Don't sit there all day on that.
That might be the tough part.
Yeah. So and the thing I do is run ads for them. So
you said like, comment, and then you said share. So what are you sharing? Just whatever looks attractive on their particular things, because then that triggers their friend list. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. So it's you gotta have to use some logic with this. If somebody does something, posts something, you like it, like it. If it requires a comment, if somebody posts a picture of their kid, hey, what a beautiful, baby, congratulations, right? And if somebody says something like, hey, I'm going to go do this, or something, you can share it, right?
Okay.
I think like, comment, and share is currency. So a like's $1, comments $5, and shares $20. If you think about it like that. So it has a kind of effect.
Okay. All right. All right. So just being consistent with that is really the key, it sounds like, right? Because if you're liking their stuff on a regular basis, you're top of mind. They're going to be seeing that. They're liking your comment back, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's the law of reciprocity. The law of reciprocity, right? So if you are liking and commenting and sharing on something, then they do it for you. That's in the real world. I'm trying to think. It's the book Influence. There's a great book called Influence that I read that talked about that, about, favor for favor. It's built into us.
So, along the lines of the Facebook thing that we're talking about, what advice would you give a new agent just entering the real estate business about online or tech? And then more importantly, second follow-up is, what advice should they ignore? So what advice would you give a new agent, being that you're in that space and you work with a lot of real estate agents and lenders in the tech space?
Do one thing. Focus on one thing. Don't try to. The FOMO, fear of missing out, is real. Don't try to do all things. Do one thing, master it. And it really doesn't matter what that one thing is. It can be doing a video blog. It can be Facebook advertising. It can be going door to door. It can be putting on flyers. We talk about online marketing, but offline marketing is huge. It's huge. It's great is when they come together and they're working together. Do one thing. And when you've got that mastered and you're like, man, I've got this, then think about the second thing. But people try to do everything, and that's
good. That's good advice. We have a question from Cindy Silva. I don't know if you can see it on your screen or not.
No.
When you get to 5,000 Facebook friends, how do you determine who to add and who to delete? Because honestly, I'm not sure who I friended 9 years ago. Great question. By the way, I'm with you. I have 4,996, and I've started campaigning, contacting them every day just to see who they are and if I know them, and if they're rude back, I'm cleaning house. But what do you do when you get to that many friends? How do you determine who to add and who to delete?
Well, if I had an answer to this, I'd be lying, because I haven't gotten to 5,000 friends.
Okay.
But you can organize them on the left-hand side of Facebook, when you're on your home screen. If you go on the left, if you see friend lists, if not, click on even more where the groups are, and there's a thing called friend list. You can go there. You can create friend lists and organize your friends. No one sees this but you. All this is like folders where you can organize the friends into past clients, referral partners, your friends from college, your friends from work, whatever. And then it allows you to go and click on that friend list, and you can see just their posts. So it helps organize it a little bit. Because you're going to have people that post 7 times a day.
That's a really powerful thing that you did show me recently. So say again where they find it and then how to categorize those lists, because I think this is the nugget of the whole show personally.
Really?
I do.
Get into my workout routine. I thought that was going to be the nugget.
Because Joey, I got 5,000 friends as well. And frankly, I don't know who the frick who is, right? And I'd like to categorize them to like real estate agents and to other construction or friends or whatever it may be. And I thought that was a real nugget. I didn't know about it. So I would suspect that most people don't know about it.
Oh, okay. So when you're on your home screen on Facebook, on the left-hand side where the groups are, there's 2 sections, but one of them, if you see friend lists, you can click on that. If you don't, click even more and you'll see friend lists.
Okay.
This brings you to a page in Facebook where you can create friend lists. You give them any name you want, name them anything. Nobody sees this but you. And then you can add your friends to it, right? And it has an interface for letting you start typing their name and it says, oh, you know, as soon as you type the letter A, it picks everybody that starts with A. And,
okay.
And there's one, it's like got a visual interface where you can see the friends and you add them.
That's cool.
What happens is so you set these up and then you only see, when you click on the friends list, you only see posts from those friends, right? So usually, I mean, when you talk about 5,000, you're going to have several categories. But friend lists usually are things like past clients, which you can even make separate friends lists for maybe buyers or sellers.
Right. Okay.
Potential referral partners.
That'd be such a huge opportunity for agents to categorize their Facebook like that.
Yeah. There's no one way to categorize this. It's like, how do you set up your file cabinet? You could get into all these different strategies.
Okay.
But it allows you to click on these friend lists and very quickly go through, like, comment, share, go to the next friend list, like, comment, share. Because what I was saying is you're going to get friends that post 7 times a day and friends that post 7 times a year, and you don't want people to fall through the cracks, right? You want to try to spread out those compliments, right?
Totally. I'm gonna, I'll talk to you about this, but I think it'd be valuable to do another little segment training on this specifically, because I think this could be huge for these people that have 2, 3, 4, 5,000 friends. You have 50 friends, so I can help you put those in buckets if you need help with those 50 friends. But honestly, that could be the one thing that's the most valuable to my Facebook, because it's such a big file cabinet now. You just don't get to it. I mean, I'm doing a 554, which is what Tom Ferry teaches. 5 new people a day, 5 follow-ups, and 5 lead, or 554. And so you could do the same thing in Facebook. You could do 5 likes a day, you could do 5 comments a day, and you could do 4 shares a day, and just focus on a 554 every day. It relates into business very well. But the categories would really help me with that if I wanted to be business focused, or if I wanted to really, I'm on a thing to like shore up my friendships this year for 2019 and be more purposeful about those communications. And when I text people I haven't talked to in a couple of years, they go, what do you need? What's going on? I know you're a salesman or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm just actually reaching out, and it would be valuable to like their stuff, comment on their stuff a little bit, and add some content to that.
And there's a lot of advanced, I mean, we're kind of glazing over the top of this,
right?
But there's a lot of advanced strategies on how to do this, how to interact and use social media rather than social media using you. Because social media is a marketing, when we say social media, I mean, we're pretty much saying Facebook and Instagram. There's more, but that's the juggernaut. It is a monstrous marketing tool if used correctly. Most people I meet, though, they're not using it correctly.
I got you. And I'm going to come back to the other question, the second part of it in a second. But Instagram, is it hot? Is it taking over? What's going on with that?
Okay, so Instagram's purchased by Facebook, and Instagram's it's different. It's a very visual tool. First off, people aren't reading online. Okay, so overwhelmingly, studies are showing that people are gravitating towards very short videos and visuals, right? Images, memes. Yeah. So that's, again, the whole blogging thing. But now I don't want to get people upset. There are exceptions to every rule. What I'm talking about is in math when we study the bell curve.
I want controversy.
Yeah, we're talking about the one standard deviation from norm type thing, right? The bell curve, the vast majority. Right. So Instagram is really good for what they call influencers. So when my clients are like, should I have Instagram? I ask them, are you really prepared to take pictures and put them on Instagram? If you are, I give them a little bit of advice on what they should be posting, and that's great. But if you're not, then it doesn't really help you. And you can run ads on Instagram without having an Instagram account. So when you create your ads on Facebook, you could say, hey, I want to make a version of this for Instagram, right? So this idea of, do I need Instagram, is like, well, are you going to post? Are you going to take beautiful pictures of people and locations around you and tag them appropriately? The average business person, they just don't have time for that. So the answer is no.
I gotcha. So to follow up on Cindy's question of 5,000 friends, really she can go through and start categorizing them, right? Who she knows for sure, the ones that she may think she knows, and then say there's 2,000 she doesn't have a clue who they were from 8 or 9 years ago. She could be purposeful about asking them a question through instant message or otherwise, and based on their reaction and their input, delete or save or update basically.
I wouldn't delete them unless there was some type of negative, something coming negative from them. There's this is, so I know you don't have the time for this one, but there is another strategy about how to be able to connect to as many tribes as possible, right? So that's along those 5,000, I would categorize it. And then there's a way that you can start to move through these tribes. This is advanced Facebook.
So Joey, Facebook limits 1,000 personally, right? So that's the challenge, is we're up against the limit of friends we can have. So now you can't have any more. So you got to delete a couple to accept one. Should we start pushing them to our Facebook business pages, for instance, if we categorize them to business, push them to a Facebook business page to free up the personal pages that allows us to build new relationships build new relationships and, open up basically the category within the friends list?
You can do that, but the way that the reach works, I mean, when we talk about what you're using Facebook for, you're trying to get reach, right? You're trying to get reach with your brand. You're trying to find people that are moving into your target market and pull them into some objective, whether it's a fire engine driving by your office in the middle of an interview, or I'm a block from the hospital, a block from the fire station. This kind of stuff happens.
You get it all.
If the likes and the used to be the fans of your business page, you don't really get any reach out of it. That was back before Facebook made a really robust marketing platform. So that's kind of like what's the term? It's a leftover, starts with an A. Okay, anyway, it doesn't really
figure it out.
Yeah, it doesn't really have that reach anymore.
Okay.
So people are like, hey, I want to get a whole bunch of likes. It's like, it doesn't really help you. Okay. You could argue that can, but the vast majority, there's way better ways to spend your energy. If you got a bunch of people that like you that don't even exist, or the years ago people would hire to get likes or to get friends because they thought they needed them. It's like, get rid of those. Yeah, those.
I got you. Okay.
When there's no way that they're going to have any impact on you, man, that sounds so bad because I struggle with the word friend. Then if it's just like 1,000 friends in New Delhi, you're like, never met these people. They're not friends.
That's more LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I don't care because there's no limit. So 25,000, you feel good.
Yeah.
But okay, and the second part of that question, I want to make sure I get to it. What advice should a new real estate agent entering the business ignore when it comes to the tech platform or tech tools? Advice that they may get that you think they should ignore?
Well, back to the blog one. Don't blog.
I was just going to say blog.
Don't hire anybody to post for you. If you can't post,
protest my show now. Thanks a lot.
What?
Bloggers are going to protest my show now. Thanks.
No, I mean, we're talking about real estate, because what can you really blog about real estate? What can you really, like, my wife reads a couple of really awesome blogs, and they make sense. They're lifestyle blogs. They're information she wants to find out about. How can you really do about real estate? Come on, really? So today I was in this 3-2 with Crown Mold. It's not. It doesn't read. It doesn't translate well.
I got you. But video.
Do video. There you go. Now that makes sense. And you're like, hey, I want to go and I want to create these short videos on YouTube of listings and things like that. Totally. That makes sense. Blogging about it, that doesn't make any sense. So I would say stay away from blogging and stay away from hiring anybody that's like, oh, I'll post for you. There was a company here in town that we kind of had a little marketing tiff back and forth with, and it was really cool. They did this thing about, like, don't pay this company. We'll post every day for you for $99. And I had to laugh. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That person will spam all your friends and family for every day for only $99. You're like, that's horrible.
Right. Not the way to go. Not the way to go.
No.
So I'm about to get to my last question of the day. I really appreciate all your input and insights and the direction we've gone today. But my last question, and I ask this of all my guests, but what career accomplishment makes you the most proud, and why?
Integrity in my work. The money is not the end all. It's never been the end all for me, the end all be all. I genuinely enjoy doing the right thing. I know this sounds so cheesy because con people say the same thing, but I just haven't chose the dollar when, it wasn't always the end all. I'm an unabashed capitalist and I believe in making money, but I believe that, provide value and the marketplace will reward you. Don't make your decisions like, well, that doesn't have a high enough profit margin, so I'm, just going to cut those customers off. I worked with people in the past where, we had the board meetings, and when you shut the door, it was, well, this person makes us 17 cents and this person makes us 18 cents. Get rid of the 17-cent person. It's like, don't do that. We're human beings. We're biological creatures. And, and I go back to how this whole thing started. The Bible talks about that your reputation is worth more than gold. And so if you're constantly cutting channels because of profits, it's going to catch up with you. That's a short-lived, a short-run business model. And so, a line of code that I wrote or something I did, that doesn't mean it nearly as much as the fact that I feel very good about the solutions I provide and the people I work with.
That's a great end to the segment, Joey. I really appreciate it. And, you're a great human being and a good man. I'm proud to know you. But thank you for being here today. I appreciate that. Before I leave, tell people how they can get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you.
My website, WebDriven, it's spelled a little funky, WEBDRVN.com. I'm Joey at WebDriven. That's a great way to get a hold of me.
Okay. Perfect, man. Hey, I appreciate you being here on Tuesday Titans. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for your input. And I think a couple of those nuggets will help people along the way.
Thank you for having me, Randy.
Joey, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you very much. Have a great day. And thanks again for being here on Tuesday Titans.
You too. Thank you, sir.